Hello Facebook and welcome to our Kombucha Tea live demonstration. I'm joined here with Jin.
Woohoo! I'm very excited tonight, Ray.
So, where did this come from? Like, why do you want to make Kombucha Tea, Jin?
Well, I've heard a lot about it lately. It seems to be a bit of the buzzword, the buzz thing going around. And I know it's meant to be really healthy for you, but I don't know enough about it. And I know you've been making it at home, and you gave me some for Christmas, and I absolutely loved it.
Yes, homemade Christmas gift.
I know, it was perfect. So I want to know a bit more about the health benefits. And I asked you a couple of weeks ago if you could show me how to do it, and you said, yep, I'll bring something in for you.
And then we said, let's just do it live.
Yeah.
So if Jin ever forgets, you can come back and watch this video.
Yeah, perfect. We've got
Awesome.
the recipe coming up later too.
So the thing that surprises me about Kombucha Tea is how simple it is. And you know what? I just realised our friend Scobie hasn't joined us.
Oh, okay, that's all right. I can run up and get it.
Yeah, we
while
can run up and
you
get
do
it
the basics.
when I'm stirring.
Yeah.
So this is live TV at its greatest.
And that's the key ingredient too.
Yeah, that is the key ingredient. But we actually,
Okay.
yeah, anyway. So the thing that surprised me about Kombucha Tea is how simple it is. The only thing you need is time. So it is a fermentation process, and it does take time for the good bacterias to kind of form and create in the kombucha tea. And, you know, it can take between 10 to 15 days between each batch. So the recipe that I'm going to be sharing tonight is a little bit different to most recipes that you see online because we've actually increased the volume. So I think it's like it's probably actually 2 times or 2.5 times the recipe, because this is what I find just for a household of like 2 or 3 is enough for a week to 10 days, depending on how long the process can take. Mm-hmm. And it is to taste. So there is no set rule. You can kind of basically taste the fermentation as it's happening to see whether it's too bitter or too vinegary. So when you leave a SCOBY in the vessel for too long, it will actually go to like a vinegar. So you can actually make it taste really bad. But some people like that. It will be more like an apple cider vinegar.
Ah, yeah.
And you can use it on salad dressings and things like that. But for me, the most ideal time frame is about 7 days. So what we need to do first, I'll talk about a little bit of the prep. You need to make sure that the vessel you're using is always sanitized, because this is like a bacteria thing. So the last thing you want to do is get any mold or spores in there. So we really want to protect the vessel. So what we did before the show is we actually put this with hot boiling water and we let it sit in there for about 10 minutes and washed it all out and rinsed it. This water that we've got in here now is 2.5 litres, and we're going to be adding another 2 litres. So I'll just bring up on the screen the recipe.
And we bought this vessel just from a $2 shop.
Yep.
It's 4.5, it's around 4.5 litres.
I think it was bigger than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or did I misread it? Yeah.
I can't remember. But you get them there. This was about $15, so nice, nice and cheap.
And if you can get down to a second-hand shop or a...
Even better.
What do you call
Op
them?
shop.
Op shop, that's it.
Yeah.
And pick one up, but just make sure you sanitize it and make sure the vessel is completely sanitized. So then what we do is we're going to add the hot water. So this is boiling water. It's like we're making a cup of tea.
So how much of this did you say we're adding?
So we're adding 4.5 litres, which is up on the screen for everyone.
Okay, cool.
So this kettle boils 2 litres and I already had 2.5 litres in there. Mm-hmm. So we'll just get rid of that. So that's now 4.5 litres of water. The other thing that we want to do, and Lexi made a good point on the post that I did earlier today, is you want to be using the highest quality type of sugar.
Okay.
Because like anything, you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Now, we did go for a raw sugar that was a little bit more pricier than your standard white sugar. But Panela sugar is probably one of the best. It is like a very raw sugar that looks like sand almost. You see it at a lot of the Fitzroy trendy cafes these days. And that's probably the best sugar to put in there. The only thing is, because it's not as manufactured sweet, you might need to add a bit more sugar. So you're probably pushing it up to 2 cups of sugar, and just to keep the SCOBY alive.
So with the Panela, we had a look. You can't get that in your average supermarket. So health food shop or bulk buy shop is probably the best place to go for that. But otherwise, we went for a good quality raw sugar.
Yep, perfect. So we've already measured out 1.5 cups of sugar.
Yep.
And so the trick here is no trick at all. You just basically pour it in as one lump sum. Now, a lot of people say, how can you drink kombucha tea if you did a whole year with no sugar? Well, that's the best thing about a SCOBY. A SCOBY actually eats the sugar in the water to survive and make what we call a daughter SCOBY. So
can we just stop here? And can you tell us what a SCOBY is?
Sure. So a SCOBY, which I'm going to bring it up, is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Now, you can actually make your own SCOBY by mixing certain things together, and the bacteria will grow on the top. But the easiest way to get started with kombucha tea, which is like what we've done, is each time we make a new batch of kombucha tea, there'll be a new SCOBY on the top of the water, and the other one will kind of sink down a little bit. Sometimes they'll stick together, and you might need to peel them apart.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it actually looks like leather of layers and layers of like SCOBYs. It's quite of a weird thing to look at. Yeah. But while I stir this, maybe do you want to run up and get the SCOBY, and we can talk. It's in the fridge in that little container.
I'll be back.
Thanks, Jen. So what you want to do here is actually stir the sugar. You want to make sure that all the sugar has dissolved. Okay, so Conrad's saying that it's up on the screen behind the live icon, so maybe you can't see all the text, but I'm using Ecamm Live, and I can just drag that around, so maybe that has helped. So we're just basically stirring this, and we're trying to buy time while Jin runs upstairs and gets the actual SCOBY, which is our key star of the show, and I forgot it upstairs. So Jin and I have decided to do this after work here in Melbourne, in Paran. So that's what we basically do. Now, I'll just skip forward a little bit, and Jin's already prepared and taken the tea bags out. So we are making a tea. Black tea tends to work better, but you can experiment with different teas. Just from experience, avoid any flavoured tea bags, or green tea's not actually that great either. You don't want to have like lemon teas and all that. It's actually best to add the flavour in the next step, which is the second fermentation, which I'll talk a little bit more about now. So Jen's just come back with our SCOBY. I'll wait for that.
Oh, it's a very weird looking thing, right?
It is a very weird looking thing, and it's in a container. I don't know how I'm going to really show this because I don't really want to touch it too much, just from a bacteria point of view. But the other key part, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good show of that.
Bad.
But it's kind of like a leather. It's kind of like leathery, and there are some companies that are actually starting to make products out of the SCOBY. Like a vegan leather type of thing. So it's really great what people are doing.
It reminds me of
a
brown jellyfish.
Yeah, it is quite weird. Now, we always need 10%. So this is what we call a starter SCOBY. Mm-hmm. So whenever you're making a new one, you actually take 10% of the water and the mother out, and you use that to gift to someone.
Gotcha.
But when you make your second batch, you take the daughter out, you throw the mother out, and you keep 10% of the liquid as well. So you'll need to take out 450 mils of water once it's been fermented, which is what this is here, and this is what's going to start the bacteria up in this vessel here.
Okay.
So we've already added the sugar and we've stirred it. I like to put all the tea bags in at once and basically just vigorously.
Wow.
So we're just making a big cup of tea at the moment.
Okay, and good quality tea? Does it matter what tea you get?
So the one thing I mentioned before, and I'll repeat for yourself, is not to use flavoured tea bags. So some people think like getting like ginger tea bags is better. It's actually better to add the flavour in the second fermentation. So while I'm talking about second fermentation, basically for the first 7 days we keep it in this setup, and we let the SCOBY do its thing and ferment. Different temperatures will change how quickly that happens. So in the summer, you might find that you're making batches of kombucha every 5 to 7 days. But in the winter, it might even get up to 14 days, depending on the ambient temperature.
Right.
Now, we don't keep it in the fridge because the fridge will slow down the process. So we definitely keep it just at room temperature, sometimes in a cupboard up the top because hot air rises, which means that it can be a little bit hotter up the top.
Okay.
So I think that's enough dunking of the tea bags for now. So we'll pop them in here. There we go. So that's basically it. Now the next step is to let it cool down, because if you add this in while it's hot, you're going to kill the bacteria.
Okay.
So basically now the next step is to let this cool down, get to room temperature, then add the SCOBY in here. When you add the SCOBY in here, it may sink to the bottom. The cool thing is that eventually it might start floating to the top.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll float, sometimes they'll sit in the middle. But the key is you know that you've got a healthy environment if a new SCOBY is forming up the top. Right. And that's kind of what you're looking for in that. And sometimes when you're storing it, even like this, a new one will come on top. But we've kept this in the fridge just to slow things down because there's been about a week since we took this out and that we're meeting today. Gotcha. So we didn't want to leave this in room temperature.
Okay.
So that's the first phase. That's the 7 to 10 days in the first fermentation. A good way to taste your SCOBY is to get a straw. And I know you use stainless steel straws.
Yeah.
Go, Jen. And you just dip the straw in and then you put your finger over the top. And then you lift it out and you take your finger off the straw and the flavour will go in your mouth. That's why you're not putting spoons and too many things in there which could contaminate the water.
How often would you test it?
Pretty much at the 7-day mark, or when you're first getting used to it, like around the 5-day mark, because you want to taste what this looks like. Initially, it will be very sugary.
Yep.
The longer you leave it, it will start getting more and more like vinegar.
When you taste it, what are you looking for to be...
Preference of taste.
Okay.
Just not too sweet that it still feels like cordial and not too bitter that it feels like vinegar.
Yep.
Because once it goes for the first fermentation for 7 days to 10 days, then what we're going to do is we're going to take 10% of the water out, take the SCOBY out, divorce the mother and daughter, get rid of the mother because you want to use the freshest one and keep the daughter. You can gift the mother to someone else like we have here. And then you then bottle it up and then it goes into second fermentation.
Okay.
So that's for another...
So that's going to be... We'll do another...
Yeah, so in a week's time, maybe from home, we will do a part 2 of this video. And basically what you want to do is bottle this using like preferably stainless steel utensils, and you want to bottle it and then tighten it because what we want is with the second fermentation is for pressure to build up, and that's what's going to make the kombucha fizzy. So it's going to actually be like a fizzy drink. Now it's a hit and miss with the fizziness. Sometimes you pop a lid open and it makes a nice sound, and you think, yes, I've just made a good batch of kombucha, and other times it won't fizz as much. But it's just, give and take on that one.
So the second vessel, will that be the final vessel?
Yeah, that'll be the bottles that you pretty much drink it from. Okay. And that's when you can add ginger, berries, and things like that. And it's still eating the sugar. And sometimes another little SCOBY will appear on the top of that container as well because it's still kind of fermenting and doing its thing.
Okay.
But you can't really do much with that SCOBY. It's too small to start a big environment like this.
And then when you've got that final product, how long does it keep in the fridge for if you're using it, drinking it?
The longer you keep it for, the more vinegary you'll get.
Okay.
So we tend to consume it every 7 to 10 days. So you want to get in a cycle where you're making this every like 10-ish days.
Yeah.
And you've got enough in the fridge, which is why we increase this formula, because we'll get into a point where we were finishing what was in the fridge, but there was still like another 4 or 5 days on all the fermentation waiting.
Okay.
So there'd be off days. Now, I only have a small glass every morning, and a lot of people say, well, doesn't it have sugar? Well, the good thing is that the SCOBY eats all the sugar, so by the time you're actually drinking it, it's not really a sugary drink, but the probiotics of the drink, I feel, outweighs the small amount of sugar that might still be in the liquid. So it's all about, the pros over the cons.
And I've heard you're not meant to drink a huge amount of it every day. So you said you only have a little bit. So is that right?
Yeah, drinking between 250 mils. So basically 1 cup a day. I don't measure it. I've just got a cup that I fill up halfway and I drink that. Yeah. My preference is putting ginger in it. I feel like ginger gives the best flavour.
Yeah, that's what you did with our Christmas present. It was perfect.
Yeah,
it was so nice.
Some people say it's like ginger beer and things like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because we had the fizziness with it too.
Oh, good. Yeah. And that's the thing, like I never know how fizzy it's going to be.
That was perfect. It was like a soft drink when you opened it up.
Oh, good. Yeah, excellent. And that's kind of what you're looking for. That means you've done a good batch. It's all about how tight it can seal.
Okay.
We've used some containers in the past where they're really cheap, so when you're sealing them, they keep clicking. It means it doesn't get a really good seal. The other trick is if it's too good of a seal and it ferments second time really good, when you pop it, it can actually fizz or the top can pop off.
Okay.
So there are some kind of like dangers, I guess, when it comes to fermenting, and that's with beers and things like that. That's the same risk.
And you probably learn it as you go along. How many of these have you done now?
Oh, we've been drinking this for about 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a period when we moved that we kind of stopped and got out of the rhythm because it is very much a rhythm. So Thursday nights, which is not tonight, is it? No, today's Wednesday. Normally Thursday night. So last Thursday, I think Eden did the batch, and that's kind of when we had it out and ready to kind of do the next one. So
it's a bit of fun. I'm looking forward to involving the kids in this one as well.
Yeah, and it's good play around with the flavours. I've also found like putting berries in it is really nice.
Yeah, and the berries stay fresh.
Strawberries don't do too well, but blueberries do okay.
Okay.
You could put Pineapple's gone a bit weird with pineapple. You know when you leave pineapple for too long and it goes overripe and it feels like it's fermenting itself?
Yep.
Pineapple kind of went that flavour. Sometimes we just like the natural kombucha flavour. So yeah, play around with different things. Kiwi fruit, we've done one with kiwi fruit, that was okay. And then you can also do essential oils. So I'm kind of playing around with the doTERRA oils at the moment and just putting like, you know, food grade essential oils in it. Nothing with alcohols and synthetics and things like that. So it needs to be food grade.
And I have heard some bad press about digesting essential oils, even if they're food grade.
Yeah, right,
so
okay. Yeah,
that's another conversation.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe I need to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But that's something new I'm playing around with, just to kind of see, like, you know, if you don't, sometimes you can't put vinegar, you can't put like a lemon in there.
Yeah.
So maybe lemon essence or something like that would be better. But
well, I think we'll do the ginger one for this program and see how I go next week with that.
Well, we'll give it about a week or so, and we'll be fermenting at your house.
Yep.
The only other thing is, we just tomorrow morning put this SCOBY into here. You definitely just don't want to do it when it's too warm because it will kill the bacteria.
And then...
good point. I couldn't see that. So to seal it off, you don't want to put the lids on because it does need to breathe. So basically just get a cloth like we use at Chuck's. You basically put it over the top, put an elastic band. You want the vessel to still be able to breathe, but you don't want foreign objects or bacteria to land in there and create mould and so forth.
Okay.
It's very similar to the beer and wine industry and a lot of other industries where fermentation happens. You just got to really control from bacteria.
So just secure it with a good elastic band and a breathable thing, like a tea towel's fine. Nice clean tea towel. Clean
tea towel, but make sure it's breathable. Like even if I was using this, I'd probably only put one layer as opposed to making it two or three. And then every batch, just clean the vessel out, hot water, swirl it around, and try and use stainless steel utensils because they're less prone to bacteria. Wooden utensils are great, but they tend to carry a bit more bacteria, and you just don't know when you're stirring what can go wrong.
Yep.
And if you do find anything, do you guys add the fruit at the... Yeah, so Jordan's just asked a question. Let's see if I can put that on the screen.
About
there
when
we
to
go.
add the fruit.
So when to add the fruit. So you add the fruit in the second fermentation. So the first fermentation is about keeping this as clean and pure as possible. Once you take it out, and we'll cover that in part 2 of this video, you would then put the fruit and that in there. And if the fruit's sweet, it will eat that sweetness as well, which is what happens. With ginger, it doesn't eat much of it because it's not really a sweet fruit, but definitely with like the berries and things like that. So thanks, Jordan, for tuning in. So that's that's kind of, do you have any questions? We've got a few people on actually, so
no, that's good.
If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them and tell us what you think. Even if it's after the video, be sure to kind of leave comments because Gina and I are going to be watching these videos, comments closely. We appreciate everyone who commented on the last video.
Yeah,
it got quite a lot of views as well, which were really kind of nice to see, and everyone was really thankful for what we were sharing. So.
The menu over my head.
Yeah, you got the menu. I'll take that off now.
I was just going to say, is it a hassle to do this? Do you find it it takes up a lot of time? Or...
I'm going to be honest. Eden does it also.
Yeah.
I don't get involved a lot in it. But it's not really a hassle. It's kind of like, once a week or every 10 days. Just
it takes 15, 20 minutes to sort of.
Pretty much. Well, we've been doing this for about 18 minutes, and that's pretty much the process. In the morning, put it in. Because the next batch you make, you'll be bottling and adding the fruit at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
While you're making the next batch.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You kind of
get it
that.
streamlined.
You get it, it happens all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm excited about this.
Excellent. Well, so we're going to be kind of moving these videos onto YouTube and things like that. So wherever you're watching this video replay in the future, be sure to like and subscribe and follow what we're doing. We're basically on a year of change, and we're, my word is change, your word is slow. And we're basically just documenting it because we know there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. They're sick of the hustle. They're sick of always kind of, grinding away and not kind of enjoying life and slowing down and appreciating. And that's, one of the beauty of this is that it lets you slow down. It lets you kind of understand what's kind of going on, and it puts probiotics into your gut. And gut health is a huge thing to how your well-being. Like there is more and more research coming out that a lot of disease and illnesses all comes from gut health. And
so all the fermented stuff is very much endorsed now by nutritionists and So this will be really, really good for that.
So it's another layer, and you
Yeah.
can go, and eat a lot of the other good cultures and bacteria, and just the fact that it's a probiotic as opposed to an antibiotic.
Yeah.
Those two words, pro and anti, just kind of should depict itself like what you should be putting into your body.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much everyone for joining on. If you've got any questions, leave comments. We're happy to answer them down the track. Thanks Sam and Conrad for your comments and letting me know that the overlay was hidden. So thanks guys, and we still don't have a little end catchphrase. So until next time, enjoy your change and slow journey.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Cheers. Bye.